March 1940. Britain is in deep trouble. The war has only just begun, but the island is already fighting for survival. Not because of bombs falling on London or tanks rolling through France, but because ships are disappearing in the dark, cold waters of the Atlantic Ocean. Every week, convoys full of food, oil, and medicine leave North America for Britain. And every week, fewer of them come back. The German submarine fleet, the deadly U-boats, are hunting across the ocean. Their commander, Admiral Karl Donitz, has found a terrifying new way to fight. He calls it the Wolfpack tactic. Instead of single submarines attacking alone, several U-boats work together. They move quietly underwater by day, then strike at night from all sides. The British sonar can't detect them in the dark. A single torpedo can sink a 10,000-ton cargo ship in minutes. Winston Churchill, who becomes Prime Minister later that year, will say, "The U-boat peril was the only thing that really frightened me during the war." And with good reason. Britain depends on the sea for almost everything. The country produces less than 1/3 of its own food. If the convoys stop, the people starve. But soon, something even more mysterious appears. A new weapon that kills without warning, even in British home waters. The Mystery Explosions. It starts in November 1939. The Royal Navy destroyer HMS Gypsy is sailing near the Thames estuary, just off the English coast, a place that should be completely safe. Then, without any warning, the sea explodes. The ship breaks apart and sinks in minutes. No one saw a torpedo. No one saw a submarine. A few days later, another ship explodes. Then another. By early December, more than a dozen ships are lost, all in shallow, safe British waters.
The Admiralty is completely confused. They send minesweepers to check, but find nothing. These are not normal mines. There are no wires, no contacts, no signs of submarines. Captains begin refusing to sail through certain channels. Even brave sailors who fought U-boats are afraid to go near the coast, because at least with submarines, you can fight back. But this new weapon is invisible. A ghost under the water. The discovery. Then, one day, British observers spot a German plane dropping something into the mud near Shoeburyness. When the tide goes out, a Navy bomb disposal team moves in carefully. What they find changes everything. It's a mine, but not like any mine they've ever seen. No spikes, no trigger, no wires. Lieutenant Commander John Ouvry and his team slowly take it apart, working in freezing water for hours. Inside, they find something incredible. A magnetic sensor. This mine doesn't need a ship to touch it. It waits quietly on the seabed and senses the metal of a passing ship. When the magnetic field changes, the mine explodes. The Germans have created a mine that can feel ships, using the Earth's own magnetic field against them. Britain now knows what's killing its ships, but how do you fight a weapon that can sense metal? The unlikely hero. The answer comes from a man who isn't even a sailor. Charles Goodeve, a Canadian chemistry professor, is working for the Royal Navy's new Department for Secret Inventions, called the Department of Miscellaneous Weapons Development. Goodeve studies the captured mine carefully. He realizes something important. The problem isn't the sea. It's the ships themselves. Every ship made of steel becomes slightly magnetic during construction. When steel is hammered and welded in the shipyard, its metal atoms line up with the Earth's magnetic field. The result is a magnetic signature, a kind of invisible fingerprint that surrounds the ship. That's what triggers the German mines. Goodeve has a wild idea. He wants to make ships magnetically invisible. His plan is to wrap each ship in long cables and run electricity through them to cancel out the ship's magnetic field. The Navy officers think he's crazy, but Goodeve explains it simply. If you create an opposite magnetic field, the two will cancel each other out, like noise-canceling headphones, but for magnetism. To the mine, the ship would appear to vanish.
The first test. The Navy gives him one small ship to test his theory, the minesweeper HMS Board. His team measures the ship's magnetic field carefully, then wraps 2,000 feet of copper cable around the hull. They connect it to a generator and switch it on. The result is unbelievable. The ship's magnetic signature almost disappears. The mine's sensors can no longer detect it. Goodeve's crazy idea works. The Royal Navy has found its first real defense against the invisible killers under the sea. The process is called degaussing, from the scientific term Gauss, which measures magnetic strength. But one successful test is only the beginning. Now, they must protect every ship in Britain. The race to degauss. There are thousands of ships, warships, cargo ships, fishing boats, tankers. Every one needs to be wrapped in cables and powered with electricity. Each vessel requires about 2,000 feet of thick copper wire, and Britain is already short on copper because of the war. Factories making planes and weapons now have to share their supply. And the installation is slow and dangerous. Workers climb along ship hulls, attaching heavy cables in freezing weather. The cables must be placed perfectly. A few inches wrong, and the system won't work. Goodeve realizes this is more than a physics project. It's a race against time. He creates special degaussing stations at major ports: Portsmouth, Liverpool, Glasgow, Belfast. Each port has testing equipment and trained crews who work day and night to measure and install cables. If everything goes right, a ship can be degaussed in 48 hours. But often things go wrong. Damaged ships, bad weather, air raids, broken generators. Still, they keep going. A faster way. Soon the backlog becomes huge. There are too many ships and not enough time. So Goodeve designs a faster, temporary system called wiping. Instead of wrapping each ship, they build large electromagnets on shore. Ships slowly pass between them, and the strong magnetic field neutralizes their magnetism for a few weeks. It's quick, simple, and saves hundreds of ships. By early 1940, Britain is degaussing and wiping ships faster than Germany can lay new mines. The country is finally catching up. The human effort. By summer, degaussing stations are running 24 hours a day. Workers of all kinds join the effort: retired engineers, electricians, university students, and even young women. They measure, calculate, and attach cables under dangerous conditions, sometimes during air raids, often without rest. Copper wire arrives in huge reels by train. Teams lift and fix it around ship hulls, sealing it against seawater. Testing teams then measure each ship again. If it still shows magnetic signals, they adjust the current until it disappears. Over 9,000 ships are degaussed by the end of 1940. The once mysterious explosions near Britain's shores almost stop. The turning tide. The magnetic mine was one of Germany's cleverest weapons. It turned the ocean into a trap, using science as a silent killer. But Britain fought back, not just with warships and guns, but with brains, teamwork, and physics. The degaussing program became one of the largest emergency engineering projects in British history. It kept the supply lines open, saved thousands of sailors' lives, and gave the island nation the strength to fight on. Winston Churchill later said, "It was the war of the scientists as much as the soldiers." And he was right. Sometimes victory doesn't come from the battlefield. It comes from the laboratory, from people like Charles Goodeve, who dared to believe that even the invisible could be defeated. In the end, Britain's survival depended not just on courage, but on imagination. The magnetic mine was a weapon of fear, but in the hands of scientists, fear became innovation. From silent killers beneath the sea to the brilliant minds who fought them with wires and current, this was the secret war of the magnets. And it may just have saved Britain from defeat.